episode of the Forsyth Mags podcast. And today I have Miss Allonda Hawkins, owner of the Hawkins Group.
Hello, Brooke.
How's it going?
You know what? It is going really, really well. I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we are now videoing our episodes so that everybody can see how cute you look right now.
Hey, y'all. Where's the camera? I don't know who it is. Oh, is this the camera?
No.
That's my camera.
Oh, that's the camera.
There's your camera.
Okay. Look at y'all, fancy and such.
I know. Yeah. So Allonda is a realtor.
I am.
And she's also a really great social media follow. If you don't follow her, you're missing
sweet.
out.
You're
And
sweet.
she's like, the girl does it all. She's just now, she's like, I just came back from a showing. I'm like, of course you did. She is busy. She's a mama. She's a wife. All the things.
All the things. Well, yeah, I am business owner. I just recently switched out to having my own firm. And that is really exciting. We were just talking before the podcast began about all the decisions that we make and how many times we have to pivot when we're like, oh, that doesn't make sense or that doesn't work. I am a mom of 4 sweet, sweet babies. One is 14, 12, 9, and 8. So that is a more full-time job than my business.
I can imagine.
And trying to balance those two worlds has been crazy, but super grateful and honestly really loving and enjoying this season of life.
Oh my gosh. 4 kids. And they're all like, they're pretty close in age.
They are, yeah. The first 2 are a year and a half apart.
Yeah.
They were like 18, 19 months apart.
Irish twins.
Yeah, and then we had a 3-year gap, and then the next 2 are 18 months apart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
So how many boys, how many girls?
3 girls, 1 boy.
Oh, bless
He's
him.
in trouble.
He was so irritated with me. I was like, son, I have no control over how this works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I've heard you talk about this some, but I want you to tell our listeners too. What are some ways that you manage to balance mom life and real estate life?
Gosh, it is so hard, honestly. One, it's just admitting that it's not easy to do because that helps to have a little bit more grace towards myself when I stumble and fall and make mistakes, and I do that often. But also in kind of setting what my non-negotiables are. And it takes some time to figure that out, especially like when you are in a service-oriented industry, and you're a bit of a people pleaser like myself, you're always... it's a struggle, right? Because you want to appease and please your clients at every second of the day. And like today, I didn't really have a very full schedule. But as texts came in last night and this morning, folks were like, hey, show me this, show me this. And so I've gotten a full schedule, in a matter of 12 hours. But for me, again, the non-negotiables for me are what space am I willing to open and allow to kind of be available to everybody, and then what space and time frames am I not allowing that? So I set kind of a precedent early when I have conversations with clients, and I set expectations, right? I let them know that I will go above and beyond to make sure that they're satisfied, that they're happy, that they're well taken care of, but I also let them know there are certain time frames where I stop answering my calls because honestly, I'm in real estate, right? Like there's not going to be an emergency after 6 or 7 o'clock that we can handle at 6 or 7 o'clock. If your house is on fire, you shouldn't be calling me anyway. You should be calling the fire department, right? So I just set those time frames that are not
on your voicemail, like when you call the doctor. If this is an emergency,
right, like literally,
please hang up and call 911.
Right. So that's one, is that I just have time frames that belong to my kids. And this isn't something that I knew right off the bat. These are mistakes that I made that I learned, okay, I need to pull back. Because at the end of the day, although I do this business for my kids, I don't want them to hate me at the end of it, right? Like we might have a lot of money and, a really screwy relationship, and that's just not an option for me. No. So I do set times that only belong to them and no one else. I try to be super engaged and super involved in their schools, probably too much, according to my middle schoolers. They're very annoyed, very annoyed by my visits. But then also trying, as the business grows, trying to always find and create systems that allow me to be a little bit more hands-off in the things that I don't need to be in. The only thing that I'm never going to be hands-off with are things that are directly involved with clients. But if I can create systems that allow for leverage, if I can hire out a service, if I can pay somebody to help me with my laundry, I'm going to do it if I can afford it.
Yeah.
But just those things is just really trying always to find as much leverage as I can. And then again, just giving myself grace when I make mistakes. I apologize to my kids often. And then, we rework what isn't working to make it work.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think delegation is a huge lesson that every business owner has to learn at some point. Because there's a time when you're first starting where you have to do it all yourself.
No, you have to.
You don't have
when
a
you're
choice.
starting out, just ignore everything I just said. You got to do it all. Like, you have to hustle to get to that place where you do have that option. But it does become, if you put in enough effort, it can and does become an option.
It does. And I think people mess up when they think that they still have to continue to keep doing it all,
right?
Like indefinitely.
That also is problematic.
That's gonna stunt your growth.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
can only grow so much when it's just a one-man show.
Yeah. And I've had a coach that I had that issue. I was just like, no, they only want me. And she was just like, get over yourself. Right? So, like, there are other people who, honestly, in certain areas, like, I have an amazing, amazing assistant who's been with me for 3 years now. Shout out to Anna, if you're watching. Who, she's so much better than me in so many things, right? And so once I learned to let go of that control in those areas, she's able to thrive in the things she's good at. And it gives me room to really thrive in the things that I'm really good at and let go of the things that I'm terrible at. And it gives, I think, a better experience for my clients, but also for my household. And myself,
and
not
your
just
sanity.
them. Just my sanity, myself, yeah.
That's so true. I think that's a lesson I've learned recently, too, is that you have to kind of go on your strengths. And there's things like my mom happens to be in the other room and we work together, too. But there's things that she's good at that I'm terrible at and vice versa. And we just let each other do our things and for our strengths, and the other one can handle the weaknesses.
Absolutely.
We tried other ways and it just didn't work.
It didn't work. And I think on your part, like what you're saying, that requires honesty, right? Like it requires like self-awareness and a self-assessment to say, you know what?
I'm actually not good at this.
Let me just stop while I'm ahead. Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah. Take a look in the mirror sometimes.
Truly.
What am I really good at?
Not that.
So what are your strengths and passions with the real estate world?
So honestly, I don't know if this is a strength, but it's just my thing. And it really is just that I deeply, deeply care about our clients and their well-being. And that, it sounds so simple, but that is the thing that comes first for me. Mm-hmm. I know, and statistics show that real estate agents have a really bad reputation. We're not trusted, and there's often this stigma that we have that we are that we don't put in a lot of work and that we all make a lot of money, right? But that really is like, if you look at like comment threads on social media, if you look at like stats that talk about like the least trusted professionals, we're there, right?
Really?
And it's sad, and I guess in some instances it can make sense. So for me, we have a logo up on my wall if you come into my office that says community over commission. Mm-hmm. And some folks didn't understand why I didn't put my logo there, but I wanted that reminder for myself, and I wanted that reassurance for clients as they walked in the door that is our number one priority, that we don't chase commission, we don't chase money, we chase the goals and the dreams and the aspirations of our clients, right? One, it leads naturally to, more business coming, but that's just the way that we exist. Long before being a real estate agent, I was, really big in community engagement and organizing, and I think that that's just kind of flowed into what I do in real estate, and that we just really care about our clients. We engage with so many clients in so many different stages of life. Some are really hard. Some are, fantastic. But I just want our clients to know that they come first. And sometimes that means saying, this doesn't make sense for you right now. Like, based on your scenario, like, I'm not going to push this to happen so that I can get a deal to close. But, I want you to make this purchase when it makes sense financially for your family so that you're not putting yourself in a worse situation that you're in, right? So I would guess the strength is in just putting clients first. I'm very, very good at, like, engaging with clients. And the thing that I'm terrible at is, like, managing my calendar and all those things. So thankfully, I have somebody who helps me with that so that I can put, more attention there. Yeah. Very, very big on educating clients. Like, we're very big on clients understanding every step that they're taking. We're not big on just showing up at a house and saying, sign here, sign here, sign here. Because I always tell clients, I'm like, if I do that, that's not you understanding what step you just took. And, I want them to understand, because it's not going to be my house. It's going to be theirs. Unless they want me to move in with them, but that'd be weird. No, but yeah. So I would say that's, I know it sounds simple, but that's the thing.
I think relationships are key in basically every industry, but I think especially in your industry.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad to think that people don't think that realtors work hard, because granted, I don't Well, I feel like I do know a lot of realtors. They're all females, which I don't know what that
Yeah,
says,
it might say
but
something.
y'all are all working your ass off.
No. And so that's the thing. There are ones who do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, there are some who don't.
Yeah.
I would say that 20% of agents who do, I would say the top 20% agents do 80% of the business, right?
That makes sense.
And that's because a lot of us agents, we glamorize real estate and we make it seem a little bit simple, especially in the era of TikTok and social media. We show up, we take really cute pictures. You show up and you dress really cute. And so there are folks that do flock to the industry, especially like post-COVID, and it's because they think this is like a quick way to make money or this is a really great side hustle. But it's not that. Like, this is a whole business, right? And you are managing most people's largest investment that they'll ever make in their life, right? But because of that, you do have a good chunk of folks who are here and they don't know what they're doing. They are here for the wrong reasons. And so I think that's why it is important for consumers. I'm not in agreement with the idea that, some folks have and the opinion that they have, but it is important for consumers to vet the people that they're working with. I'm never opposed to consumers asking me questions and, having pushback. I don't mind answering that. And I'm also never offended if they don't choose me, because I think that everybody should choose the person who makes the most sense for their situation and for their family.
Yeah, it's like choosing, kind of different, but kind of the same, choosing a photographer for your wedding.
For sure.
Like, you want the one that works the best for your situation, that you get along with, because you're going to be working pretty close.
Very closely.
Potentially months.
We become besties. Yeah. And I can get on your nerves. But no, that really is important. It's a big deal. And, for me, I don't want one-time clients. Like, I want clients who are going to come back again. I want clients who are going to send their grandma and their nieces and their neighbors. So I want to make sure that, one, they love me, and two, that they love me enough to have their other people, love me. So
I like how you said about that real estate is glamorized on social media. I think that's so true. I think that's true for me as well. Like, you do post the photo shoots and the fun things that you're doing, but you don't necessarily post, for me it's pushing pallets of magazines up a ramp to get them and and delivering them, and for you it's tagging along on inspections and dealing with mold and like the scary things,
or just how many deals that we have that come close to the brink of falling apart, and
upset clients,
upset family members who don't know you and don't trust you because they're like, you're guiding my daughter into this house. You know what I mean? Like, you do have those experiences, and you deal with people's hard moments. Like, not everybody's moment is just buying a house. You have folks who are selling houses because their elderly parent has Alzheimer's and they have to, you know what I mean? Like, you're walking with you're walking with people in really difficult transitions in life. And so in those things I don't post because I'm just super respectful of their dignity. But, there are hard things. You deal with agents who are rude and, fuss and yell at you. You know what I mean? Like, you show up to a house that a seller was supposed to be out hours in advance. This is true story, and I'm a little bit have PTSD. And like, you are scrambling to literally move them out of their house so that they're not in breach of contract. And those, I don't ever have time to record those moments, but that happens. We've literally moved clients out of our house. I've taken off heels, sat them on the lawn, and moved them out.
Oh my gosh.
So there are definitely moments that are highlights and that are beautiful and amazing, but there are also really, really, tough moments in the industry too.
Yeah. What's one of the most beautiful moments that comes to mind with a happy client, a success story? Mm-hmm. What's one that comes to mind?
So I have a few. The most recent, I think I was going to make a reel about it, but I haven't yet because I'm super weird about people's information. But one of the most recent for me has been just a client or a family who has just had just so many really hard blows to life. I mean, just massive amounts of hardships and, losses and grief. And, we just recently found a house that was, it wasn't like this gigantic mansion, but for them, it was their family's dream house. When we saw it, I know them well enough to know as soon as we pulled up, and they hadn't gotten there yet, I was like, this is the house. I'm immediately having anxiety, how do I get this house for them? Because I knew it was super popular. There were tons of people coming to see it, and I was like, but this has to be their house. I could just feel it. They pulled up. They have these sweet little babies. They got 4 little kids, tiny kids. They pull up in their minivan. They get out. As soon as they see it, the wife is in tears. She's she's on the porch, just in tears. years. And so that, of course, I'm like, now I've got to get this house. Then they're out
pressure.
and I snapped a picture again because I could sense that this was their house. They were in the back, and I have a picture of it now. I haven't posted it, but they're in the back, all crouched down in a circle, praying together because, again, they felt it was their house. So what happens? Of course, there are 8 offers on the house, and again, anxiety has risen. But, this sounds braggy, but I'm good at what I do, right? So I know how to strategize and think through ways to get this house for them. We ended up getting the house.
Oh my
we
gosh.
won the offer out of multiple offers on it. And just to be able to, I think when I got the call from the agent, I didn't tell anybody this, but I started crying because I was so happy that we were able to create this bright spot for them and all of the other things that they're kind of dealing with. And not all those things go away, but this thing was just something that just brought so much joy to them. And I know it will create so many amazing memories. So to be able to make that call for them and say, you've got the house was just,
That's special.
chef's kiss. Yeah, it was really good. It was a good moment.
I love that. Yeah, that makes the tough times worth it.
So
right?
worth it. Yes, so worth it. So worth it.
Wow. What's the craziest story that you have as far as something that you've like seen in a house? Or like something an inspection has found that you're like, oh my gosh.
I'll just say this because I know you probably got kids listening to this podcast, and the kids like riding with their moms and parents. I'll just say that you go into people's houses, and sometimes people forget that a showing is scheduled. And, you enter the code and you walk in the door and you walk in on some moments that that require you to quickly turn around and say, get out, get out, get out, get out. I'll just say that. You interpret that how you need to. But, yeah, we just walk in on some very vulnerable moments. We walked in on people who were in the middle of a shower and doing other things. And I was like, oh, my, let's just,
you got a showing right now.
Yeah, we got it. And they were like, they're scrambling and they've forgotten that it was supposed to happen.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, you know what? We'll reschedule for like a daytime showing. How about that?
How about that? Reschedule for never.
Right, and never. My client's like, you know what? Let's just.
I don't get
move
it.
on. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. Yeah. So it's life, and they get it, and I get it, but yeah, it's interesting.
I love that. So I think I'm not mistaken when I remember that do you occasionally teach social media classes?
Yes. Yeah, I have. I'm trying to do more now that we have like our official office, our official location, but I've traveled to other offices and taught other agents how to use social media to really grow their business. And for me, I don't have what I would consider a large following, especially in comparison to like what folks are who are like influencers and so on and so forth. But a large portion of my business has come from social media. Mm-hmm. And it's just really teaching classes on like how to really connect and engage with your audience. I don't know. It's just something that I've figured out and worked really well. So I have taught those classes. One of the things that we have a goal for this upcoming year is to really just start to host more classes again at our location, not just social media, but just helping agents, whether they're a part of my firm or not. Because last year we saw such a mass exodus of agents leaving the business. I think we saw that 70,000 agents left the business last year. And it was because the market is just tricky right now. Like the interest rates are higher, buyers are a little bit more hesitant. Obviously, prices are a little bit higher. These are all things that I acknowledge. And so it's gotten scary for buyers, which, has caused them to pull back. It's gotten scary for sellers who don't want to give up those 2.8 interest rates. And so therefore, it translated to getting really, really tricky and dicey for a lot of agents. I know a lot of agents who've had to get second jobs to just be able to, maintain. And so, for me, I was just like, if I, when I have the time, I like to open up. I have like a thing that folks can click in their in my Instagram if they're wanting to just hop on a call and like, just get a few 30-minute session of coaching. I do that, but also like I've started to do classes just to help agents if they're just struggling. Because this is, if agents are listening, nobody else would probably care about this. It's a really lonely business. Like if you're not on a team and you're just by yourself, it's really lonely. Like I talk to so many agents who get into real estate because they say, I like houses. I'm like, this doesn't work for you then. Because it's not an industry that's just houses. It's really running a business. It's really understanding how operations works for a business. It's how customer service works. It's how marketing works, which you absolutely need to be successful. I would say 9-10% of the business is really about houses in and of itself. So yeah, that was a really long answer, but
no, I love that. I think that just like proves your community over commission phrase in your office, like that you do things like this, that you're practicing what you preach.
That's the goal, Brooke. I'm trying.
But that's good. I'm the same way. There's enough for everybody to go around. There's
Girl.
Doing, lifting up other people.
For sure.
What is that quote? All rising tides lift all boats.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a strong believer in that there's enough light for all of us to shine. And I just feel like there's almost like that law of reciprocity, not necessarily that I do it to get something back, but something always comes back. You can't operate with really closed hands, because if you close your hands to other people, your hands aren't open to receive. But if you operate with open hands, yes, you're giving, but you also have space to receive back.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's so true.
Thanks, Brooke.
Well, Miss Allonda Hawkins, she's the bomb. What is your Instagram handle so we can all follow you?
My Instagram is Allonda the Agent, Allonda the Agent. That is honestly the easiest and best way to get in touch with me. If you go to my Instagram, there should be a link that you can click on and get on my calendar. Don't inbox me to get on my calendar, because Brooke knows. I will think that I responded. I am very, very slow to respond in my inbox. But if you're on my calendar, I live and die and breathe by this calendar. This informs my every day and all my existence. So if you get on my calendar, I will obey it to the T.
I love it.
But yeah, that's the best way to get in touch.
Awesome. Well, be sure to give Allonda a follow. And if you are a real estate agent, it sounds like she can definitely help you out if you need it.
For sure.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to chat with me today.
Bye, Camera, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
I know, it was fun.
It's very chill.
And as always, you can find Forsyth Mags on social media too, at Forsyth Mags. And that's it for today. The views and opinions stated on this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Forsyth Magazines Incorporated. Ooh, that's a mouthful.